Okay, so in the last video, we made a little drawing using the shapes, right? Once again, turning the shapes into something. I chose a house because a house is rather obvious. You know, you can draw a house very much like mine or make up your own house. That's fine. I prefer if you make up your own, why not? But we labeled everything. So we got circle, our triangle, our square, our parallelogram, polygon, organic, right? And there are more shapes, but that's the ones that we're going to deal with because labeling something really clarifies it. And the clearer something is, the more mastery you'll get. Okay, so we're going to do another one using all these shapes, the square, the circle, triangle, parallelogram, polygon, and organic. Now for this one, I've decided to do a little robot because robots also kind of geometric, so it's easy to come up with these shapes. But you know what? You do you. You don't have to draw one just like mine. You can if you want. I'm okay with that. But if you make up your own drawings, that's your creativity, right? It's cool. But the important thing is that we have everything labeled. So I'm going to go ahead and draw one just like the one that I've got here. And so I'll go ahead and start with a square. And I'm going to do a little triangle. Notice where I'm holding my pencil way back here, drawing with my entire arm all the way from the shoulder. A little half circle here, little half circles for the eyes. Okay, and here is a nice parallelogram. Excuse me, not parallelogram, polygon. Right? And inside here, I've got some parallelograms. Okay? Drawing everything in parallel will make things so much easier. All right, and a couple of ovals. So circles and ovals, remember that either one is fine. For the feet, connect that leg there. The other one. Okay, now I've got some half circles for the joints. And just some lines creating these polygons. Really, if you had to name the shapes of the arms and the neck, they'd be polygons because they're undefined shapes with multiple sides. Get some circles for the hands, a few more polygons. Polygons are really useful, aren't they? Okay. And what's more is I'm going to put this guy into a little bit of a setting. I've got my little horizon line here. And you'll be amazed at how putting something into a setting, even if it's very simple, really makes a huge difference to the quality of the drawing and how things end up looking. Okay. So if I've got everything done with my construction lines just the way I want them, then cool. Now I can go ahead and make some finished outlines. So these are lines that I really, really mean. Okay, so I'll just start up here. And these are going to be nice, dark, finished lines. And you can see how that's showing up so much better. But if I had made any mistakes, if I wanted to change anything as I was drawing it with my construction lines, it'd be so much easier. You want to work all that stuff out really, really light. And then you can come back and make your darker lines. And, watch things. This is all about getting you ready for observational drawing. And so just look at things, look at other people's drawings, look at cartoons, like the eyes, for instance. That's very typical anime sort of an expression with the eyes like that. Where did I get that? Well, I just, watched some anime. since I've drawn lightly, even if I don't follow my lines absolutely perfect, it's going to be okay, especially since I plan on shading with this one. Then those lines which were so light, they're not going to show up at all. I'll just cover right over top of them. Drawing light is the most wonderful thing in the world because it makes it so that you don't have to be perfect. Whether you're drawing one that's just like mine or whether you're drawing your own thing, try and be as clean as possible, as perfect as possible right now. Because really, we're not making, expressive artwork. That's not really what we're doing right now. This is a means to an end. Hopefully, later on, you will be able to make very expressive, very beautiful artwork. But right now, you're just learning basic mechanics, basic technique of, well, how do you do this? How do you train your body to have the dexterity that you need? How do you understand the concepts that will allow you to work better? Okay, good enough, good enough. I think I'm going to go ahead and label it right now. So what was this? This was drawing, and this was drawing number 6. And what does it have to do with? It had to do with lines. So line, value, shape, line, value, and shape. And what are we doing? We are using shapes to make things, right? We're using shapes to make things. All right. And we're also going to learn a little bit of shading. There's going to be a little bit more on shading in some exercises coming up real soon. We're almost there. But for right now, we're just going to kind of wing it a little bit. Maybe doing some shading, just basic, light, medium, and dark. See, put my name here and my first name and the period. Let's say if I was in period 1, and let's say if I was also in period 5, whatever. And this is exercise number 6. Same as the drawing. But like I was saying before, putting it down here makes it so easy for me to just leaf through it when it comes time to do a little bit of grading. Now, the other thing I wanted you to do, remember, was to label things. So I think I'm just going to set it up in a row right here. So let me see. Let's start with a square. I got a square? Yeah, I've got a square right there. So I'm just going to point to it. Do I have a circle? Well, I've got all kinds of circles. I think I'm just going to write circle over here and point to it as my circle. Okay. Do I have a triangle? Well, I've got a triangle right here, right there. And let me see, a parallelogram. See, I've got my parallelograms. I'll just write that right over here. Okay, pointing to that. We'll know that that's for those. And let me see, polygon. That's a polygon right there. And organic. Well, I've got an organic, and I'll just put that right here. And there's my organic. So I guess I put the labels all around instead of nice neat row like this one. Does not really matter. Now shading. Okay, shading a little bit. So once again, the wooden pencil is just superior for doing the drawing with. One of the reasons is because it's really durable. You get those dark lines in there, right? But the other is that I can use the side for a little bit of shading. So here, just like when I was trying to draw lightly, what I'll do is I'll hold the pencil way back here at the end, right? And that's going to allow it to have very, very little pressure. And I'll be able to shade very, very lightly. Okay, so there's a little bit of shading there. That's my light value. And maybe some light value in the hands right over here a little bit. A little bit over here. Okay. Now, if I wanted to, I could smudge. Instead of using my fingers to smudge, because some of these areas are kind of small, I'll just use a piece of paper like this. And see how I folded that? And that way I can use that paper and I can get a much more exact area if I want to smudge that a little bit and smooth out some of that shading. See how easy that was? Okay, a lot easier than my finger, plus my finger doesn't get near as dirty. Okay, so how about something, if that was pretty light, we'll go with something a little bit more medium now. Okay, and once again, maybe using this, just smooth things out a little bit if I like. Don't have to. Maybe I'll do that a little bit. And a little bit into the body right here. And I'm also going to do the dark, but I'll go ahead and edit that part because you don't need to watch me do this over and over again. But so I've got the dark. Alrighty. And I'll be right back with my results. Okay, I'm back. And so I've smoothed things out a little bit. And I smudged around it too because that gave the background a little bit more body. And you know what? It's a little bit easier to make things textured sometimes than it is to make things like super clean, right? But some parts of it I might want super clean. So I'll get in there, my eraser, and just clean things up a little bit. And when you're shading, go ahead and try and do it as smooth and even as you can. So for right now, we're not going to deal with gradients. Just try and make areas of shading so like the medium is all medium and it's all the same. The dark is all dark and it's all the same. And try and get as smooth as you can with as few sort of lines as possible in there to do a nice, neat job. Remember, craftsmanship is like a muscle. You've got to train it like all the time. Oh, maybe in here a little bit, clean that up, get a nice little contrast going in here and the eyes. There we go. All right, well, good enough. I've got this drawn, so this is my second one, and I've got it labeled. I've used all the shapes. I've got my title across here, and I've got my name down here. It's in portrait mode, which is good. And that's it. So then we're going to move on from shapes probably to forms next, and that's where it's going to really start getting powerful. But practice your shapes, do a good job, and look forward to talking to you in the next video.